What happens when a parent tries so hard to be perfect that they forget how to be present? When the pressure to do everything right begins to crush the very bond they're trying to protect? Before we dig deep into this episode, you are welcome to Responsible Parenting TVC, Responsible Parenting Tips for Caring Kids. Here, we share raw, uncensored, and deeply relatable parenting stories, practical tips, proven strategies, and inspiring lessons to help you raise responsible, confident, and caring children in today's world. Disclaimer: this is an educational content for knowledge and awareness only. Again, I ask you, what happens when a parent tries so hard to be perfect that they forget how to be present? When the pressure to do everything right begins to crush the very bond they're trying to protect? In this episode of Responsible Parenting TVC, we dive deep into one of the most silent struggles of modern families: the hidden cost of perfectionism in parenting. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe now. If you're on Facebook, follow our page, like, comment, and share this video with others who need to hear this truth. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell, because every episode here could save a home, a heart, or a marriage. It all began with Amara and Chiki, a young couple in Lagos, Nigeria. They had two children, Tito, age 7, and Zara, age 4. From the outside, they looked perfect. Matching outfits on Sundays, a clean home, straight A report cards, smiles for the cameras. But behind those smiles, Amara was drowning. Every morning began with pressure. Zara, fix your hair properly. Tito, don't stain your uniform. Chike, please don't be late. People will talk. It wasn't parenting anymore. It was performance. Amara grew up in a home where mistakes were punished and praise was rare. Her father believed discipline meant fear, and her mother taught her that love had to be earned. So when she became a mother, she carried that invisible weight, the need to be flawless. She would scroll through Instagram, seeing perfect moms cooking, homeschooling, and smiling effortlessly. Her heart whispered, "You're not doing enough." One evening after a long day at work, Chike walked in to find Zara crying in her room. "What happened?" he asked softly. Amara sighed, exhausted. "She spilled juice on the couch, again. I told her 100 times to be careful." Cheek knelt beside his daughter, wiping her tears. "It's okay, my princess. It's just juice," Amara snapped. "No, Cheek, it's not just juice. She needs to learn responsibility." Silence fell. Zara looked from one parent to the other, confused, frightened. Cheek said quietly, "Amara, she's 4. She's still learning." But Amara couldn't hear him. Her fear of being seen as a bad mother was louder than any logic. That night when the children slept, Cheek turned to her and said, "Babe, when was the last time you actually enjoyed being their mom?" Amara froze. Tears filled her eyes, but she stayed silent, because deep down she knew she had turned motherhood into a battlefield of self-worth. As days passed, the distance grew. Tito stopped talking about school because he feared correction. Zara began to whisper instead of laugh, and Amara, though surrounded by family, felt utterly alone. Her friends praised her. "You're such a super mom. You make parenting look easy." But inside she was breaking. She began waking up at 2 a.m., scrolling through parenting forums, looking for tips: how to raise confident kids, how to stop yelling, how to be a better mom. But the more she read, the more inadequate she felt. One morning, while rushing the kids to school, Tito turned and said quietly, "Mommy, can you please stop being angry all the time?" That one sentence shattered her, because for the first time she saw herself, not through society's eyes, but through her child's. That night, she sat alone on the balcony and whispered, God, what am I doing wrong? I just want to be a good mother. But what if the problem wasn't that she wasn't good enough? What if the problem was the pressure to be perfect? But what happens when the mask of perfection finally cracks and Amara is forced to face the truth behind her exhaustion? If you're touched by this story, comment Marriage with Wisdom, share it with loved ones, and subscribe for more real life stories that heal hearts on Responsible Parenting TVC. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell. The next part might just change how you see parenting forever. That Sunday morning, Amara stood in front of the mirror, exhausted. Her makeup brush trembled in her hand. Dark circles framed her eyes. Her reflection stared back, not the supermom everyone praised, but a woman quietly falling apart. She whispered to herself, Smile, Amara, you have to hold it together. But when she stepped into the living room, Tito was refusing to wear his socks, Zara was crying over a missing ribbon, and Chike was searching for his car keys. Everything spiraled. Why can't you people just listen for once? She screamed. Her voice echoed through the room, sharp, angry, broken. Zara froze. Tito burst into tears, and then silence. The silence that follows after love has been wounded. Chike drove the kids to church quietly that morning. Amara stayed home. She sat on the kitchen floor, her back against the cupboard, tears streaming down. Memories came rushing back, her father's voice cold and commanding. You can't cry in this house. If you fail, you shame this family. Weakness is not allowed. And then she saw it clearly. She wasn't shouting at her kids, she was shouting at her younger self. Every time Tito made a mistake, she saw her own childhood failures. Every time Zara cried, she heard the echoes of her own unhealed pain. The perfectionism wasn't strength, it was fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being seen as not enough, fear of repeating her parents' mistakes. When Chika returned home, the children were asleep. He found Amara still in the kitchen, staring blankly. Amara, he said softly, kneeling beside her. Talk to me, she whispered. I yelled at them again. I promised I wouldn't, but I did. I don't know why I can't stop. Cheek took her hand. You're not failing, Amara. You're just tired of pretending to be perfect. She shook her head. But if I don't do everything right, who will? He sighed. Maybe it's not about doing everything right. Maybe it's about doing it real. Amara looked up, confused. Chike continued, Our kids don't need a perfect mother. They need a peaceful one. They need to see grace, not guilt, love, not performance. Mistakes are part of life, even for parents. Tears rolled down her face. Then why does it feel like I'm failing them? Because you measure love by perfection, he said, gently brushing her cheek. But love isn't about getting it all right. It's about showing up, even broken, even imperfect, with kindness. That night, Amara wrote a letter to her younger self. Dear little Amara, you were never meant to earn love by being perfect. You were always worthy, even when you made mistakes. I'm sorry for being so hard on you. From now on, I'll parent you with kindness, so I can finally parent my children with peace. She folded it carefully, placed it under her pillow, and cried herself into healing. Days later, something shifted. When Zara spilled her cereal, Amara took a deep breath instead of shouting. When Tito forgot his homework, she knelt beside him and said, Let's fix it together. The home began to breathe again. Chiki noticed it too. One evening, as they watched the kids play, he smiled. You're changing, he said. Amara nodded. I'm learning to give them what I never had. patience. But just as peace began to return, Amara received an unexpected call. Her mother had fallen ill, and that phone call would open an even deeper wound, the one she thought she had buried years ago. Because sometimes healing doesn't begin with parenting your children, it begins with forgiving your parents. But what happens when Amara finally confronts her mother, the woman who taught her that love had to be earned? Will forgiveness bring freedom or reopen old pain? If you're touched by this story, comment "Marriage with Wisdom," share it with loved ones, and subscribe for more real life stories that heal hearts on Responsible Parenting TVC. And don't forget to turn on your notification bell. The next part might just change how you see love, forgiveness, and parenting forever. The hospital smelled faintly of antiseptic and sorrow. Amara stood in the hallway, clutching her bag, her heart pounding like a drum of memories. It had been nearly 6 years since she last saw her mother, 6 years of silence, resentment, and avoidance. Now she was here, standing at the edge of that silence, unsure what to say. Inside the room, her mother looked smaller than she remembered, frail, almost fragile. Time had softened the sharpness in her face, but her eyes still carried that same unspoken pain. When their eyes met, neither spoke for a long time. Finally, her mother broke the silence. "Amara," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You came." Amara nodded slowly. "I heard you were sick." Her mother tried to smile, but her lips quivered. "You've grown into such a strong woman. I wasn't always fair to you." Those words, simple, broken, pierced through years of emotional ice. Tears welled in Amara's eyes. She sat beside the bed and whispered, "You made me believe love had to be earned." Her mother's eyes filled with regret, because that's how I was raised too. My father never said, "I love you." I thought discipline was the only way to show care. I didn't know another way. The truth hung heavy in the air. Generations of women trying to love the only way they were taught, through control, through fear, through survival. Amara reached for her mother's hand for the first time in years. "Mom," she said softly, "you don't have to explain anymore. I understand now. You did what you knew, but I can't pass that pain on again." Her mother's lips trembled. "I'm sorry, Amara. I just wanted you to be better than me." "I know," Amara whispered, tears streaming freely. "But I just wanted you to see me and say I was enough." Her mother closed her eyes, squeezing Amara's hand. "You are. You always were." In that single moment, 2 generations exhaled, the walls of performance fell, the masks of perfection cracked, and for the first time, love flowed freely, raw, messy, human. Weeks later, after her mother's recovery, Amara began therapy. She started journaling about her emotions. Not to fix herself, but to understand herself. She stopped striving to be a perfect mom and began aiming to be a present one. At home, the changes were real. Tito now hugged her before bed without fear. Zara often said, "Mommy, I like when you smile like that." And Chiki noticed how peace had slowly replaced pressure. One evening, Amara gathered her family at the dinner table. She smiled gently and said, "You know, I used to think parenting was about control, about making everything perfect. But now I know it's about connection. It's not about being right all the time. It's about being real." Chiki reached across the table and took her hand. "That's the best lesson our kids will ever learn. Not from what we say, but from what we live." Amara smiled, her eyes glistening. "Exactly, because being a good parent starts with healing the child within us. As the camera fades, Amara is seen tucking her children into bed. Zara whispers, "Mommy, are you happy now?" Amara smiles through quiet tears. "Yes, baby, Mommy is learning to be happy, one day at a time." And in the soft glow of that nightlight, 3 generations of pain finally found peace. Moral reflection. Perfectionism doesn't make better parents. Healing does. Children don't need flawless parents. They need honest ones who are willing to grow. When we stop demanding perfection from ourselves, we finally make space for love to breathe. Prayer. May every parent watching this find the courage to forgive their past, embrace their imperfections, and love their children, not through fear, but through grace in Jesus' name. Amen. This is Responsible Parenting TVC, responsible parenting tips for caring kids. Stay with us for more inspiring parenting lessons, powerful real-life stories, and daily guidance to help you raise children who are caring, responsible, and ready to thrive.